Hi everybody, hope you're well. So this video was requested by Astrid Forrestra and also by Taffy.L.A.Marbs. So I'm going to be talking about Equus in this video, but I'm going to be talking about it in two different contexts. Now the first thing I want to say is if you're looking at a video for ways to make Equus, all the various different ways, have a look at the video that I've done on that already, which is how to make a lot of Equus. And there will be loads and loads and loads of things that you can do there and change up and so forth and combine to make more and more Equus. So I'm going to talk about what Taffy asked, and that is how do you make Equus quickly? And this is kind of a tough thing to say because it's going to depend a lot on your server for starters, whether it's a big server or a small server and how practical some of these things are. But I wanted to talk about, I suppose, more specific ways of raising your Equus, which I would have talked about in that video that I did about making Equus. Selling horses is probably one of the quickest ways, but the problem is you need to be selling horses that are in demand or either cheap horses that people are going to buy quickly. So that's probably one of the things that you need to bear in mind if you're going to do it quickly. Entering competitions, as long as the competitions run reasonably quick, then you'll make some Equus from there. It's not going to be large amounts, but it's still Equus. Selling unwanted items to the shop. So this is probably one of the quickest things. If you want it really instant, you can go in and sell different items. And there's a huge range of items that you can sell in there. And if you have a lot of them stocked up, you can make use of that, whether it's food or tech or resources or agricultural items or enhancements. And the same thing can kind of be said when it comes to black market items. So there are certain items that I think go really quickly if you're selling them for Equus. So some of those items I would say would be things that are skiller items that I kind of mentioned in the video about relative worth of BMI items that I did recently. Those kind of really popular items like Harmony packs and golden apples and Nyx packs and Morpheus arms, some of these more rare items like fifths and witch pumpkins and things like that, or Zest lightning bolt, those things are in really high demand. They will go for Equus really quickly, and some of them will go for 300,000 instantly because people want those items. I know people who sell Morpheus arms all the time because they have no interest in bluffing, they just want to make Equus, and they will sell Morpheus arms for that top price, and they will sell them. There will not be people waiting and going, no, I'll just wait till it goes down in price. People will buy it when they see it because they know it's a very rare item and it's hard to get. So that's another way. If you were to put up a load of Morpheus arms for 300,000 each, they would go. I'd be very surprised if they didn't. Now if you're on a really small server and there was a lot of them in circulation, maybe the price would come down, but generally I find those would go quite quick. So that's a quick way of making large amounts of Equus. I think the other thing is selling coverings can kind of be a little bit to and fro. Some coverings go quickly, some can be up for days. So it's a kind of hit and miss. It depends, I suppose, if you're selling unicorn coverings. Are you selling from a popular breed? Are you selling from high genetic, potential coverings? Are you using horses that are kind of rare in the game and maybe there's not a lot of, say, like for example, if it was a new breed that came out and you were one of the few that was selling high coverings, well then you're probably going to find that those go quickly, but it's also going to depend on how many people are actually breeding them. Like for example in UK, Alpatikis are one of the most popular breed types on the game, so it's a very flooded market when you go to sell Alpatiki covers, right? So you have to kind of weigh up the pros and cons of it, I guess, whenever you're choosing horses to sell coverings from. Another way that I suppose is pretty instantaneous is to do lessons, because as soon as you hit the lesson button you get Equus from that. So that's quick, but it's very small amounts, and obviously if you can't age the horse that's not going to increase anything. I suppose the other one to mention is probably sending horses to the safe haven, okay? But you're only getting, a really small amount of Equus for doing so. But obviously if you look at the video I made about making Equus, I mentioned like different little things like going and stroking the horse in the safe haven, logging in every day. Oh, this is one of the partner offers. Congrats. Offers you 300 Equus. Okay, I see. So this is one of the partner offers. I'd not seen this before. We'll ignore that for the moment. But those things, when you go and visit people's divines and so forth, like Topaz, you get money instantaneously, but it's limited to 5. It's a small amount. Having Polaroid parchments, I suppose, as well, because if you're waking up a lot of horses, a VIP hunt, that's a way to quickly get Equus, because you'll be getting it every day. Use your meadows and your workshops. Now, I will say that I'm guilty of not really using my workshops very well, but I use my meadows. I always make sure I have longhorn cattle. But the problem is that takes 30 days for that to come in, but when it does come in, it pays well. So the other thing is, as well with workshops, you know, you can go in and estimate how long it's going to take. So some of these are only a couple of hours, so you might want to go for items that are going to turn around, you know, within a couple of hours rather than a couple of days. So I think it's really difficult for me to say how to quickly make Equus, but generally if you want to make Equus quickly, you need to be doing things every day that are going to build it up, and obviously being aware of what's going on in the game. And it really does come down to, you know, being aware of all different methods, because there's no instantaneous way that I can tell you that you will definitely be able to do this at this time and it's going to take you this long to do, it's going to make you this much Equus. There isn't really anything that I can say that's going to, you know, you could, in 5 minutes time, you're going to have 1 million Equus. There's nothing I can guarantee in that regard. It's kind of hard to do that. But do have a look at the video that I did about how to raise Equus and keep your costs low. That's the biggest thing, I think, for people. If you can keep your costs really, really low on horse and maximize profit, you will be singing, okay, within a bit of time. You know, obviously these things take time. The people who are the richest on the game have taken a long time doing it. It's not immediate. So that is one of the first things to mention. But I suppose it kind of feeds into this whole thing. If you really wanted to get some Equus really quickly, you could use your passes to do it. I don't advise it. I think making Equus with your passes is kind of a waste of time, mainly because I can guarantee that you could sell a pass horse for a lot more than that amount there, okay? So we're going to kind of jump in now to Astrid's question, which was how to turn passes into Equus. So one of the biggest ones that I'm going to mention first off is to do with pass horses, because if I go in here to the sales, okay, I'm being plagued by UFOs today. I don't want to see them while I'm doing this because it's just distracting. Or if we go into the direct sales, and I'll just look for, you know, a horse that's a pass, okay, and that it's not immoral and it's over 30 years old. So let's just do that really quickly. You will be able to find horses. Those are pass horses that are up for a pass, okay? So let's have a look at the price for them in Equus now. So there's the prices of pass horses right now on the UK server. That is a lot more Equus than you get for the one pass for Equus thing. You would be making a lot more by buying a pass horse out of the sales and selling it this way. But it can take a while for it to come through. It's going to take a while because this is quite a large amount. So it can take time before people are going to, you know, pay that out. But I think if you're aware if there's a promo going on and people really need passes or whatever, people are probably going to be more willing to pay this, okay? So it's about timing as well. So that's probably one of the fastest ways. Now, the other thing to mention is skillers. And the reason I'm going to mention skillers is because, as I mentioned whenever I did a video about, I think, selling skillers and when I price them, I tend to price, if I had 3 skillers, I tend to price one at full Equus amount, one about, you know, half Equus, half passes, and then I price another one at full pass amount, because I know somebody out there is going to want to pay passes because they don't want to spend their Equus. Somebody out there is going to want to sort of do middling, so sort of both, and then somebody's going to want to just pay Equus. So you could skill a horse, for example, or make a nice horse with a few passes and then put it up for an amount that it will sell at. Obviously you need to then be aware of the price of horses, how much horses are worth and so forth, and be realistic about it, because you don't want to spend 10 passes on a horse if you know that you're only going to get 300,000 out of it, okay? You want to be aware what it's going to actually make you. So you need to be going in and looking at similar horses in the sales and getting a rough idea. Obviously, sometimes you're going to see horses in the sales which are up for astronomical amounts, which they're not really worth to you, or maybe to other people, but you kind of have to work it out in that respect. So that's one of the main ways. It can be hard on a small server, because obviously on a smaller server it's often going to take longer for things to sell, so you need to be aware of that. You need to be aware of your market, what's out there, what people are going to pay and so forth, and weigh up whether it's going to be more worthwhile than this. And most of the time I will say that it is. Generally, I find that, like, going way back to whenever I used to hoard my Equus, I tended to sell things for Equus rather than passes, because I knew people would be more willing to spend the Equus than they were the passes, and often I was able to make far more than I would if I was to credit Equus using this this method of doing it. But the three biggest ones for me are your pass horses, your skillers, and unicorns as well. Unicorns, it's very easy, I would say. If you bought a one pass unicorn, I can tell you right now, somebody would pay more than 40,000 Equus for it very, very quickly. You're more likely to sort of make this kind of range, which would have, if you did this credit Equus thing, you would have wasted 3 passes doing it. So be aware of what people are in demand for. That's the biggest thing, because if there's a lot of demand for skillers, and you know that people will pay Equus for skillers, they're going to go quicker than ones for passes. I guarantee most people are going to spend Equus for passes than they will passes. Your coverings as well. You might think, right, okay, there's a really good stallion out there that I can buy for a couple of passes. Work out how many coverings you'd have to sell. For example, if I bought a horse, and this is going back when I was playing at the start of my US game, I went into the sales and I found a unicorn stallion, and I think I paid a pass for him, and I worked out how many coverings I would have to sell to make back that pass on him, for example. And say that I just valued the pass at 80,000, just for example. I managed to make $1 million in Equus off him in the course of the time that I had him, and then I actually went and sold him on again. So you could sell him then, you could buy that stallion, use his coverings and so forth, sell all those covers, make back what you spent on him and more, and then sell him on, whether that's for a pass to get your pass back, or whether that's for Equus to get your Equus, to make more Equus on it again. So those are some things to think about it, and I think it really does come down to find out where people are willing to spend Equus rather than passes. Think of the places that you generally spend passes on, and whether you're allowed to do it, because that's the thing I will mention. There are ways that you could make Equus using passes, but they'd be against game rules with the pass and item trafficking thing. So be aware of that, educate yourself about it and have a look and really think about it. And you will find ways that you can make Equus using your passes very easily. I would say it's a lot easier than doing it the other way around. Definitely, that's the one thing I would say. But anyway, thank you to Astrid Forrestra and also to Taffy.LA.Marbs for requesting the video. I hope you had a lovely day. Bye!